Alright, well, we're going to start my video. I'm going to start it off with one video that kind of helped put me on this path a good 2 years ago. Then I want to go to another video that I've already recorded on another, downloaded it into my computer. And let's just start telling the story of Donald Trump, the Antichrist.
Well, there are many organizations and people out there calling Trump. Trump is a godsend, an imperfect messenger of God, but nevertheless, a King David of our time. But then you have other sites and people out there such as Jerry Falwell comparing him to King David, which is like comparing him to Christ in a way, or at least the bloodline. Or even something more interesting I want to show you. Let's say Trump spent $88 million of his own money on his campaign. Let's say Trump had 88 offices across the nation during his campaign. Let's say Trump had 88 events, campaign stops during his campaign. Let's say that Trump is equal to 88 in gematria, which is a 10,000-year-old language of converting numbers and letters to language. Let's say that Donald J. Trump is 888. And to many, 888 is the number of Jesus. It's said over and over in many places that I've studied. And it has come clear to me that Donald Trump's number is 888 as well. He even has 88 on the front of his podiums everywhere he speaks. Here's another sign of the times. There will be signs in the sun and the moons and the stars, and on the earth dismay, among the nations bewildered by the roaring of the sea and the surging of the waves. And this comes just after they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive into all the nations, and Jerusalem will be trodden down to Jerusalem. So many things to think about. I've shown you this man has a mother named Mary, a father named Christ. I've shown you that he is showing and demonstrating through his name and through his numerology and through everything that he does. 88 campaign stops, 88 million of his own money, 88 campaign locations, that his number is 888. He believes that he is the return, or either the mockery of the return of Christ. I suspect the mockery of the return of Christ. I believe what you are looking at before you right now is the Antichrist.
We're just going to paint a picture through this documentary.
On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. Interesting. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Oh, well," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman." Sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up cozy in a curvature silk, and then laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. Now she hurried home from work, and that night, as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken and revived. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in, by now you might have died." She stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake."
Let me in, my dear. Let me in.
Sighed the vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bit me. Heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in."
Just bear with
Who
me.
is Donald Trump? No, who is he really?
We'll get to the
Who
crux
does
of
he
it in a little
believe he
bit.
is?
It's just a little
In this
prelude.
video, we're going to look for the signs and symbols. A mother named Mary, born and raised on a little island in Stornoway, Scotland. Raised in a meager hut, as you see before you. Immigrated to the United States on March 10th, 1942 to Brooklyn, New York. Other immigration papers showing that her mother and father from Scotland. Mary was married in Brooklyn, New York to Christ
McLeod.
Trump.
We'll get into that later. Mary Ann McLeod.
Mary and Christ. Here's an image of Mary and Christ Trump. So who is this man? Who does he believe he is? What place does he hold in history? We are going to look at many signs and symbols as to who Donald J. Trump is. He was born 14th of June, 1946, current age of 70.
Shows you how old this was.
On Donald's birthday, June 14th of 2016, he flew on a campaign stop into Charlotte, North Carolina, with much fanfare. You may ask, why Charlotte? Why is that significant?
This was the mural that he came to visit, and we're going to be talking a lot about that. That is part of the mural. There's the eclipse up there. That's the little boy with the thick blonde hair. This is a place that he visited on his birthday on a campaign stop. And the man that did this mural also did the painting Mary with Child with an eclipse over her head. And we know Trump's mom's name is Mary, and he was born under an eclipse. But they're selling Benjamin F. Long's painting Mary with Child. She's pregnant. This is an Episcopal church. It's supposed to be Christ in the womb. But of course we know it's the Antichrist. So we know that, that it's Trump. Now, there's about 57 more coincidences that we're going to cover here. All right, well, I've definitely done my fair share of prep for this new version of, Donald Trump, who he is, what he's all about. And so Trump did have a mom named Mary and a dad named Christ. And Benjamin F. Long did do a painting titled Mary with Child, and it did have Trump's lunar eclipse over the top of it. And he also did that mural. So that's, that part's pretty significant. We do know that Trump itself in gematria equals 88, which if you remember in Back to the Future, you had to go 88 miles per hour in order to do time travel. And of course, they're selling that Trump is a time traveler in a lot of the conspiracy theory world. And of course, we know time travel is not real, but Trump has appeared in many movies, Back to the Future. There's going to be too many coincidences to make, which is why they try to sell that lie. Let me see. I don't even know what I'm bringing up here. I prepped all of this, but it was days ago when I began this prep, so I don't know what's going to pop up. In Back to the Future, which you had to go 88 miles an hour, of course. How could I forget the license tag? Out of time. Once Trump arrives on the scene in power, of course, we're out of time. Time's up, as they say. One thing that I saw on some, I don't know whose video it was, and I dismissed it. You know, I mean, I put it in an email to myself and caught the email like weeks later. Because I kept asking the Lord, I kept saying, we're still missing the number of his name, equaling 666. And so in gematria, we learned that Trump's name was changed from Drumpf to Trump. And when you Google that, I mean, even Snopes, who I don't trust at all, they backed it up. They said, yeah, it's not Trump's name, but it was his family name beforehand. So obviously the 666 won't be obvious. It's going to be off one road, but still running parallel. Because nothing's meant to be too obvious to you. The Bible verse says, here is wisdom. That's what the Bible verse says. Revelation 13:8 says, here is wisdom. So you have to put a little bit of, it's going to be a little, that won't be that obvious. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding. So you have to be able to see beyond the obvious. Count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. So let's get back to Don Drumpf. Well, I already lost it, didn't I? So it's not Donald Drumpf. It's just Don Drumpf. That's his name. And it comes up to 666. The chances of that, this is in English gematria. And that's the country he runs. And in Jewish gematria, that's the country that loves him. That's where the Antichrist has to declare himself to be God standing in the holy place. So we can get to that. In gematria, Donald Drumpf and Mike Pence, which trumpets also comes up to 666 in Jewish gematria. The chances of that are astronomical. The chances of both Donald Trump, Mike Pence being 666 and Don Trump being 666 in English gematria are into the trillions. That's mathematically, it's impossible. But of course, nothing's impossible with God. And again, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding, that's by the grace of God, eyes to see and ears to hear, even the Lord hath made both. Count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 666. So you had to do the time travel. Which one am I doing here? Am I going back to the Trump equals? Yeah, Trump equals 88. 88 miles per hour. I think we've exhausted that one. But yeah, just Trump equals 88. So the what YouTube do I have here? What YouTube am I bringing
Drugs,
up?
terrorists, violent criminals, and child traffickers trying to enter our country.
Oh, text
But
to the
Nancy
border,
Pelosi and Chuck Schumer
88082.
care
Well, that was dumb. I think I've over-prepped for this. Yeah. Back to the Future 2, Biff. In Rolling Stone magazine, Back to the Future writer, Biff is Donald Trump. That's in Rolling Stone. And there we go. Yeah, getting this tripod. And the Daily Beast. That's an interesting name. Back to the Future writer, Biff Tannen is based on Donald Trump. Which again is very interesting. The jacked up hairdo. Now the Ishtar ashtray. Let's go ahead and go. And let's just go through all my photos that I've got on Donald Trump. You see that 8-pointed star? Isis, the star Sirius. That 8-pointed star, that's going to be the Biff ashtray in Back to the Future. Ayana, the Queen of Heaven, her celestial manifestations being the moon and planet Venus. See, this is all, the people that run this world are all about the divine feminine, the sacred feminine. There's Trump's podium with the 88. That was during his campaign. So he's letting you know that the gematria is real. He believes in that 88. Associated with the sun, a phoenix obtains new life. Every 500 years, the phoenix rises. We'll get to that. This is the Trump upside down pyramid. That Trump Tower, it's 6 by 6 by 6 bushes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not very filled out bushes that time of year when that one was taken. There's Donald Trump, 666. That's a pretty creepy picture when they visited the Pope. Is all of that in your picture? Yeah. Trump has a painting in Trump Tower. Apollo led by Aurora. Aurora, the goddess. Aurora in Greco-Roman mythology, the personification of dawn, according to the Greek poet Hesiod's Theogony. She was the daughter of the Titan Hyperion and the Titaness Thea, and the sister of Helios, the sun god, or Helios, the sun god, and Selene, the moon goddess. This is what they believe in. This is what the Antichrist believes in. This is the mirrored image, because remember, it's only that half. That's Donald Trump. Trump visited that place, and on a campaign stop in 2016 on his birthday, on June 14th. And there's the solar eclipse. And there's the boy with the hair. Benjamin F. Long did this. He's the same one that did the Married with Child. There's the Biff Casino, like a Trump casino. There's Biff, all with his gold. Looks like it's making a T like Trump. There's the dollar sign, all the gold. Picture of himself. I mean, there's the Biff ashtray. There's the 8-pointed star because they love the goddess. That's why Trump's got the upside down pyramid, which I didn't even talk about that. That's what the upside down pyramid's about at Trump Tower. Because the upside down pyramid is about the divine feminine. I haven't already passed that? Okay, good. I'm just making sure I haven't already passed that. The 1989 sequel, Biff uses profits for his towering casino to help shake up the Republican Party. How did they know all this back when Back to the Future was? Because everything's scripted. That's what my Ghost in the Machine. When Trump was born, when you look at it on it's called a stellarium or something to that effect, where you can see the astronomy in the sky. The sun sat in between, outside of Taurus, right in between the horns of Taurus. It was already in Gemini. The sun was in Gemini. So when Trump was born, that's what it looked like. And you see off to your right in the pagan world, and see he was born under a lunar eclipse. So you see in the pagan world, that's why they give the Antichrist was always going to be born under that blood red moon, in between those horns. All the way back to pagan mythology. This has always been the plan. Trump has always been the plan. And there's the sun in between the two horns, and the David Bowie, right before he allegedly died. He did a very satanic video. He had 3 men on a cross, and they were gyrating sexually. It's called I believe it's called Black Star. Yeah, Black Star. Just Google Black Star video. David Bowie, Black Star music video. Just Google it. It's 13 minutes long. If it doesn't creep you out, I mean, it'll show you who and what these people are. Again, the tanks and the streets. Maybe it's the calm before the storm. We're going to get to that. I don't think I've already gotten to that. In the movie The Devil's Advocate, in the movie it was 9 West 73rd Street, but in real life it was Trump Tower on 5th Avenue. It was his real life penthouse that was used. Trump Tower has 5 multiple addresses, 721, 722, 723, 724, 725, which all match the little horn of Daniel 7. Begins with the same horn made war with the saints, and the last verse says, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. In the movie Donnie Darko, we get to that later. Says... We can't even read that, can we? It's down too far low. Yeah. I've got it too far. He says, I think you're the effing Antichrist. Of course, Donnie Darko is Donald Darkness. So he used the word Antichrist in the movie. Also in Donnie Darko, they put this together. That's why I think an AI puts this stuff together. Donnie Darko to be president is all in that picture. There's Donnie Darko. Then over here next to him it says to be. Can you see that? Is that in the camera? And then president. It's got a little box around it. Like I said in the other video, I put Donnie Darko in my DVR and it was so dark that I quit watching it. It was about this time of year a couple years ago. And I started watching videos like what I've already kind of gone through and what I'm about to show you towards the end. And it dawned on me that the movie I had in my DVD player was Donald Darkness, that it was about Donald Trump. I went back and finished it and was just blown away. We'll show you that in the video coming up. But in the movie Donnie Darko, it says Donald 88. But you can see Donald Dark. That's all they show you. Because he is Donald Darkness. I mean, that's who he is. And, you know, I can't sugarcoat it. I'm just trying to break your programming by just throwing so much at you to where you can't not see it. And this is only for the sheep to come out of the world. The death of the phoenix, the Holy Roman Empire, every 500 years the phoenix rises. It ended in 1521, so in 2021 would be the year the phoenix would rise. Right hand 666, we're going to get to that in just a second. We see here that our boy Keanu Reeves is sitting like Donald Trump in the movie The Devil's Advocate, sitting there with the Donald Trump hand signal, which I just find fascinating. There's the upside down pyramid. That's why Trump's got the upside down pyramid. The inverted upside down triangle moon represents moon worship. The occultists consider the feminine symbol worship. This represents Semiramis, the wife of Mother Nimrod, who turned him into a god when he died. So the one on the left, the pyramid, represents sun worship, or the male principle. The upside down is the womb, the chalice, the female principle, and we're going to get into that too from the movie The Da Vinci Code. What I've got coming up soon is really should be pretty good. If you Google the Divine Feminine and click images, or Divine Feminine hand signal and click images, this is what you'll get. That's how Trump sits. It's the chalice, it's the womb. Again, Don Trump 666. Guess I've got that in there twice. Donald Darkness 88, Donald 88. Donald 88 is like saying Donald Trump. Donnie Darko is Donald Trump, is Donald Darkness. Remember the eclipse that crossed our country? And 7 years later, another one's going to cross. We should be X'd out completely by 2024. I imagine at that point, that will be the beginning of the end. That will be the next election year. This is when you Google search Trump, changed his name to Trump. Gwenda Blair suggests blah, blah, blah. Hans Trump, who settled in blah, blah, blah. Their name from Trump to Trump. I just blew that up, screenshot it. This is the proof you'll find when you Google it. That's Trump's birth chart. I used to be an astrologer before the Lord called me out of the world. There is not one single planet on one half of his birth chart, not even his rising sign. which is just fascinating. That is a very unbalanced chart from my astrology days, which I no longer dabble in. That's as evil as all the other stuff you can dabble in. Numerology. No offense to the yoga people, but yoga, it means to yoke. And when you do yoke, you're yoking yourself with the gods. If you Google, there is no Hinduism without yoga, and there is no yoga without Hinduism, you will get a Hindu website that tells you that. They tell you themselves. So there's nothing wrong with doing yoga if you're a Hindu, but if you want to be saved by the blood of Jesus Christ, which again, you don't have any free will in that. If you're his sheep, he will call you out of the world, and if you're not his sheep, he will leave you in the world. He called me out of it beginning in 2012. But my point is, he'll call you out of yoga if you're a sheep. But I mean, if you're good with just saying, well, I'm a Christian, but I feel it's okay to do, then that's fine. You got to do what you got to do. Pretty crazy, the pictures that he's posed for and the way he's posed for them. The fire, of course, was added in. Edict of the Worms, that has to do with the Roman Empire fall back in 1521, thanks to the Reformation and Martin Luther. I don't know if Edict of the Worms is in the camera. Barely, at the very bottom of the picture you can see it. Enough is Enough from the Illuminati card game of 1994-1995. That's Trump's face. There's a lot of Enough is Enough. I saw a montage where Trump had said enough is enough. They showed like each time he said it, and he said it a lot. It also has a card called Charismatic Leader, of course, with the hair, his color hair, and of course he is a charismatic leader, if there has ever been one. There's Eros and Psyche, which is the fallen angel making love to the human woman. And that's out of Genesis 6, verses 1 through 9. And it says, we had giants in those days. Not dinosaurs, but giants. Remember David and Goliath, the giant? Because the fallen angels were mixing with man. That's why God had a lot of people destroyed, because their blood was no longer of human blood. And Trump's got a statue of Eros and Psyche in Trump Tower. There's another statue. See the angel wings and see the human woman. Well, Trump Tower, of course, he loves that. Genesis 6, 1 through 9. I think the 9th verse is, but Noah was found perfect in his generations. In other words, Noah was not, his blood was pure. And but Trump's got a statue of Eros and Psyche inside his Trump Tower penthouse, where they did film the movie The Devil's Advocate. There's the Phoenix rising from the ashes. Atlanta Falcon mascot. There's Fox 666. That's why they gave us a TV show called Lucifer, and of course they backed Donald Trump. From the Ariana Grande, God is a Woman. All dressed in white they were. And why are they dressed in white? Because we'll show you that they were dressed in white during Trump's presidential address. Well, they were all clapping and high-fiving because it's all about the female God principle. In the movie The Devil's Advocate, she says, why do I feel the hand of Marianne on this adventure? Well, as a coincidence, to throw you off at least a little bit, Keanu Reeves' wife was named Marianne in the movie The Devil's Advocate. But of course that's Trump's mom's name. So, the adventure of the devil's advocate. Why do I feel the hand of Marianne on this adventure? Cryptic. Connor McLeod we talked about in that movie, The Highlander. Oh, excuse me. We have not talked about it. We're going to get to that later. I prepped a previous video that we're going to do, and I'm going to make sure the sound's not distorted. There's Hillary at the Wailing Wall in Israel. Everybody goes to that Wailing Wall. Again, the Illuminati card game, 1994, 1995, $500 on Amazon. So, here's a gentleman that Trump, Trump just visited India, and there's a man that worshipped him. We got Trump written all over the wall there. Trump, 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 Trump. This man is worshiping Donald Trump all the way in India. He is a world leader, and he is making Israel great again. Look at the crowd that came to see him in India. Do you know who he is? Do you know who Donald Trump is? Look at the man making the hand signal there. The divine feminine hand signal. It's not a natural pose to make while you're just sitting comfortably with the president, is it? No. There's nothing natural about that at all. No words. Pyramid on top of Supreme Court over there in the land where Jesus roamed. Get the picture? It's got an all-seeing eye at the top. Coincidentally, in Revelation, (11:8), their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, making it great again. In the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified. Where was he crucified? Over there. You think you're supposed to back it. You are not. You're not supposed to back that land at all. Your preachers lie to you and tell you that you do because of Genesis 12:1-3. And the Lord said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto the land I will show thee. Talking about the land of milk and honey, where Jesus roamed and was crucified. And I will make of thee, talking about the descendants of Abram, a great nation. So he told him to go to the land, because in the Old Testament, that land was sacred land for people. That was God's people in that land. That was God's nation in that land. And he took them out of that land when they did bad. And God puts them back in the land. They do go back in the land when Jesus returns. When Jesus returns, we will go back to the land. I digress. And I will make of thee, Abram, or Abraham, a great nation, because his descendants, from his descendants comes the bloodline of Christ. And I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And in thee, this is all talking about Abram, or Abraham, shall all families of the earth be blessed. Now, is that every single family on earth? No. Talking about the church. The church is Israel, and Israel is the church. And if you don't understand that, just let Acts 7:38 narrow it down for you. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel, which spake to him on Mount Sinai. It's called the church, getting the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. And with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us. Israel is the church, and the church has always been Israel. It is no longer that land over there. That land now is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Tel Aviv is as liberal as San Francisco. I don't even need to say anymore. Benjamin Netanyahu is quite proud of his LGBT community. And message me, and I'll give you the speech where he said that at the United Nations. I believe that was 2016. So we just went over the Matthew Bible verses. Let's go to Galatians and find out about those promises that God made to Abraham. Now Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He saith not unto seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Christ. So it's all about the descendants of Christ. And we go to same chapter, verse 29. And if ye be Christ, then ye are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. 99% of the people over there right now, they are not of Christ. Because we go back to Revelation and we learn the truth. And we know the blasphemy of them that say that they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Let's go to Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. You getting the picture? In the movie The Devil's Advocate, Milton, who is the devil, speaking in Korean. Well, when Trump took office, we had trouble with Korea and trouble with Russia. And, well, we'll get to it. We're just going to go through these in order. There's the lotus plant. We're going to get to the lotus. And in the lotus, that's what Trump gave the Pope when he visited. When Trump visited the Pope, he gave him the lotus flower. We're going to get into what all of that is. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the lotus, it's all about being transformed. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes. There's the lotus with the 6 by 6 by 6. It's got the upside down pyramid and the right side up pyramid. It's got 6 corners, 6 lines, 6 angles. And that's inside the lotus in that one. While a closed lotus may mean the time before the Buddhist follower gets his enlightenment fully bloomed, the flower represents self-awareness. Lotus flower in Buddhism denotes reincarnation or rebirth. There's Buddhism, the lotus. Book of the Dead, again, a head emerging from the flower. The god exclaims, I am the pure lotus emerging from the luminous one. I carry the messages of Horus. I am the pure lotus, which comes from the solar fields, the sun god. From the book The Secret Doctrine, again, more on the lotus. That's from H.B. Blavatsky, if I'm not mistaken, who the United Nations have taken on a lot of her one world religion, all-encompassing world religion. But it talks about the womb of Isis. It's very dark, pagan, satanic stuff. And of course, Trump brought the Pope the lotus. That's what he brought him. That's the lotus flower that he brought him. A statue, of course, of it. The locality of the womb is taken, most of the holy place, sanctum. Yeah, anyway. That's Trump's, that's Mary Trump, and that's Fred Christ Trump, Trump's parents. That is also Trump's mom. We showed you that in the video. I didn't really plan on doing that video or showing you the other video. I was just going to do this just with pictures. Again, there's the Benjamin F. Long, who did the mural where Trump was a little boy and had the lunar eclipse over his head. He also did this painting. There is Mike Pompeo overlooking the architectural renderings of the coming third temple. The Antichrist has to declare himself to be God standing in the holy place. This temple must be built. As you can see, Mike Pompeo and all the say that they are Jews, but they are not, but they are the synagogue of Satanites. They're overlooking this third temple. Trump is on a coin over there in Israel, by the way. In a movie, I'm going to go ahead and play this movie for y'all, but remember, Trump was born with the sun in between the horns of Taurus, the bull horns. There's the divine feminine, hand signal with Oprah. They all flash it. Yeah. Out of time when you go 88 miles an hour. Trump means 88. There's the phoenix rising. Notice it's the female goddess. Remember, I showed y'all earlier, you can see how that phoenix looks right there. You look at that phoenix and you go back to the Atlanta Falcon Phoenix. And here's the Atlanta Falcon Phoenix. So you get the idea. The Atlanta Falcon Phoenix is nothing more than your Phoenix, and you see how the NFL is doing their thing with the event that's taking place, world event that's taking place. That means crown. Corona means crown. And in Revelation 6:2, the rider on the white horse receives a crown. There again, male, female, Eastern mysticism. That's why Trump was being worshipped over there. They all know who he is. Many in this world know who he is. The only people that don't are mostly Americans and those that watch that news channel. You know, QAnon, all of that, deep state. It's laughable stuff. It's sad. Very sad. The Queen of Heaven, of course, a title given to the number of the ancient sky goddesses worshipped throughout the ancient Mediterranean and Near East during ancient times. Goddesses known referred to Iana, Anet, Isis, Anet, I think it is, Ishtar, Astarte. So many of them. In another video I did, I gave you a lot of the names. Of course, Mary in the Catholic Church, of course. Queen of Heaven in Latin is given to Mary, the mother of Jesus. There's a church on I-4 called Mary, Queen of the Universe, so it's the same pagan religion that there always was. There's Milton speaking Russian in the movie The Devil's Advocate. And of course, when Trump took office, it was all about Korea and it was all about Russia. They all knew this in advance. That's from Snopes, the surname of Donald Trump. Family was originally Trump. They at least admit it. Milton speaking Korean. Again. Speaking Russian. Again, I guess I put a lot of these pictures in there. Didn't mean to. So, I mean, we're learning a lot, right? We're getting the picture. There's that star that they use. Condemned in the Old Testament. Amos 5:26, Acts 7:43. I wonder what Acts 43. I read it in Amos and it just said star. Acts 7:43. We were just at Acts 7, remember? You know my keys are wore out. I can't even see my keys. Did it say 7:34? Acts 7:43, excuse me. That's why I try to do plenty of prep, but you can never do enough. You had to take up the tabernacle, Moloch, and the star of your God. Okay, it just says star. So, you know, we can just say that's their opinion, that that's the star that they're talking about. We get that. 6-pointed star, 6 mini triangles surrounding 6-side hexagon. So it's got 6 points, 6 lines, 6 angles. It is definitely a star full of sixes. And that is what they claim the star is, a star for David. Not really, it's not really biblical. I'm sure y'all recognize her. It's the Mother Goddess, Queen of Heaven, Queen of the Universe. Mother Nature is another name for her. Venus, Isis. She goes by many names. There is God as a woman dressed in white at Trump's State of the Union last year. Trump, of course, mom, born in Stornoway, Scotland. The storm is coming. We're going to go ahead and get into that. I decided just to go ahead and play the clips for you. There's Trump and his wife at the Taj Mahal. They have no problem with any religion. He is a world leader. I'm sure they enjoyed posing for that. I'm sure he enjoyed that. They all know the deal. People that run this world know the deal. Remember the Time's Up movement in 2018? They were just telling you. Some pictures. These were actually taken from the movie The Devil's Advocate because that's what I took it from. That's why you see the subtitles. But it's the gods. Up on the ceiling are the gods. In Trump Tower, his gold tower. Loves that 666 hand signal, doesn't he? That never ends. Freakish picture. Holy Bible he's holding. He has deceived many. There was a book that I had. I eventually just threw it away. I just felt weird owning it. I shouldn't have thrown it away. It was just... But Trump speaks of the Kabbalah that he studied. One day when my Kabbalah teacher can't understand the name, asked how I was doing, and I told him I needed a break. I was thoroughly exhausted and overwhelmed and overworked. If you understand Kabbalah, it's Jewish mysticism. It's not what a member of God's... And I studied Kabbalah when I was the astrologer who was also into numerology. I was into all of this stuff. So, there's the Trump. There's Marianne McLeod, Fred Christ Trump, Marianne Christ, like the man said earlier. Trump was born under a total lunar eclipse. There's the Trump coin as he is making Israel great again. So, Donald Trump was supposed to... We're going to go over that. It's Trump's hand signal that he sits with nonstop. There's more of the... I think that's a better view of the Enough is Enough Illuminati card from 1994, 1995. How did they know, right? Well, they've always known. The Ghost in the Machine's been writing the script because God... They have to follow the script God has ordained. And if you don't understand that God's ordained all of this, including the evil, well, let's first just go with Isaiah 46:10. Declaring the end from the beginning. So declaring Revelation from Genesis and from ancient times to the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, I will do my pleasure. God said, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Satan is a created being. He is only fulfilling the will of the Lord, period. And many people are handed over to the father of lies, the angel of light, due to pride and self. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked, for the day of evil. The day of evil is when the Antichrist declares himself to be God, standing in the holy place. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or is worshipped, so that as God sitteth in the temple of God. I just showed you Secretary of State Mike Pompeo overlooking the plans. See, the temple does not exist right now. Sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Matthew 24:15. When ye therefore shall see, this for the wicked of the day of evil, here it is, shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. Again, that third temple will be rebuilt. It can go up very quickly. I imagine the prefab is already done. I bet they can throw that temple up in 100 days. Whosoever readeth, let him understand. Again, this takes spiritual discernment. Everything in the Bible, Jesus spoke in parables, everything in the Bible is from spiritual discernment. Matthew 24:24. For then shall, this is what's coming. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever be. That's what's coming. Except those days be shortened, there no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, in other words, his chosen few narrow way sheep, those of the narrow way that few find, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto him, there is Christ, do not believe him. For there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch, if were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Even God's sheep would be fooled. That's how strong this grand illusion is coming. But, and that was leading me to another Bible verse, and I can't think of what it is now. I'll stop the video for a second, pause it. That's what it was Revelation 13:13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. It's going to be very supernatural type deceptions coming. Very supernatural. Oh, where was I? Oh, I was at that one, I guess. There's Donald Trump with the same hand signal and next to the same black priest that Oprah was standing next to. Don Trump, 666, the number of a man. Here is wisdom, let him understand. This is from the iPet Go 2 video. We're going to get into that in just a second. There's the hut that Trump's mom came from. Like Biff, the casino. There's the Trump hand signal again, of course. Never break stride with that hand signal. Always giving you the chalice. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. People think he's a Christian, or he's this messenger of God, or he's here to save Israel, so he's this great person. No, this is all the deception that's coming. Trump on the temple coin, the temple that's going to be rebuilt. There's Trump. When you Google it, it's only 58 floors, and yet they say his penthouse is on the 66th floor. Why is that? If you go 203 meters, it would be 6 feet tall. Many say that it is 203 meters, but 721 through 725 are the passages of the little horn of Daniel 7. Oddly enough. But if you go to Daniel 7, we first look at verse 8. In this horn, remember, a horn is a trump, and a trump is a horn. And Jesus said, I come in my Father's name, and ye believe me not. But if one comes in his own name, and he's here, changed his name from Trump to Trump, just so he could be in his own name, horn. A trump is a horn, is a trump. There's a Bible verse that says, at the last trump. It meant at the last horn, at the last trumpet. In the King James, a horn is a trump, and a trump is a horn is a trumpet. He's here in his own name. In this horn were eyes like eyes of a man, and mouth speaking great things. He's going to make America great again. He's going to move the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He is going to make the great city, the Bible calls it the great city, great again. They love him over there. They've put him on a coin over there. They changed the Golan Heights to Trump Heights over there. Let's go to verse 11. I beheld them because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. Non-stop. That's why people love him. Because of their pride. He tells them everything they want to hear. We're going to protect your guns. We're going to do this. We're going to try to get rid of abortion. You're not getting rid of abortion. Come on, man. He just says stuff. or something happens in a state or whatever, just to keep the base always believing. And the 10 horns that were on his even of that horn had eyes and a mouth that spake great things. 3 times it talks about Donald Trump or the little horn of Daniel 7 speaking great things. Just like in 3 times in the Gospel of John, Jesus refers to Satan as the prince of this world. 3 times the horn is said to say great things. And his motto was make America great again. I mean, I've already given you enough to let you know who he is, but we're not even close to being done yet. But anyway, that's the address. 721 through 725, Fifth Avenue. Trump at the Wailing Wall. Again with the 88. Again with trumpets. 666. Donald Trump and Mike Pence together. 666. There's a better view of the upside down six by 6 by 6, 6 across, 6 down, 6 back up bushes. Upside down. It's all about the female goddess. It's all about Mother Nature. It's why you're supposed to protect the Earth, Earth Day, save the planet, the global warming rituals, trying to melt the polar ice caps. We'll talk about that later. The unicorn. The unicorn in the sanctuary proves the unicorn evil by the mere assertion the mythical animal often has been associated with both Christ wrongly and with Lucifer. Can you see that? Yeah. The unicorn. In the movie Donnie Darko, he reads a poem, The Last Unicorn. Donnie Darko is Donald Darkness. Tex Mars talks about the unicorn. Depicts unicorns, a potent symbol of the third eye and the Antichrist. Again in Donnie Darko, they read a poem, The Last Unicorn. So, Donnie Darko again, Donald Darkness. The rider on the white horse is also the Antichrist of Revelation 6:2. He receives a crown and goes forth conquering and to conquer. And he's on a white horse. And I saw and behold a white horse, which the Antichrist rides. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. This wasn't anything that he earned. Given to him to carry out the will of the Lord. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. And we're certainly going to get into more of that. Certainly going to get into more of that. Again, the symbols of the divine feminine. The upside down pyramid on your right. It's funny when you see those nacho, they're all upside down pyramids. Interesting. The Papal Audience Hall is what it's called. Formed exactly as a snake. A reptilian. The Vatican. Both the Vatican and Washington, D.C. both have an obelisk facing a dome. That's their world, symbolically. Here's the Antichrist, Phoenix rising from the ashes. You see the Pope sitting down low there with all his cardinals. Again, this is the Pope, the Papal Hall, or whatever they call it. They say that's obviously an image of Jesus Christ, but we know that's the Antichrist. It's a very evil. Ain't nothing good about the Vatican, folks. I was raised Catholic. In a movie, Warlock, the Armageddon, the Antichrist that comes out of her on a full moon lunar eclipse in the movie, he has that hair as a young Donald Trump. Here he is again coming out of the womb. He's covered with the placenta and all of it. It's very gross. So who is Donald Trump? Just like the guy said. 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds in the movie Donnie Darko. That's the day the world will end. You know, when you add those numbers up, you get 88. So in other words, when Trump, that's when the world will end. He is your Antichrist. Ariana Grande, God is a woman, with her Yoni hand signal down there at the bottom. There's the Yoni when you Google it. Also another hand signal when you Google it that Google gives you on it. Google Images, the Yoni. You're fired. You're fired. From Back to the Future 2. So we're going to finish up with this. It's from another video. That's Benjamin F. Long melding in with the Mona Lisa. The movie The Da Vinci Code actually points out that what the movie The Da Vinci Code was about was not about Christ having a family. It was about keeping the bloodline of the Antichrist. More than likely, in my opinion, quite possibly, all the way through the Nimrod, Babylonian, quite possibly. I don't know. I suspect that Donald Trump's bloodline comes from ancient times. And the Mona Lisa is actually the mother of the Antichrist. And we're gonna really pinpoint that for you. Trump was born under a total eclipse, June 14th, 1946. We get that. Mom's name was Mary Ann McLeod. Last video I did, where I had prepped a video, I had it way too loud, so this time I've got it really low. Didn't want to blow out your ears or it'd be too distorted. But again, Mary with child, with an eclipse over her head, looking like Trump's mom. Notice Benjamin F. Long did a great job of melding her face onto the canvas. Supposed to be Mary of Jesus Christ being pregnant, but there's a lunar eclipse over her head, and it actually put Trump's mom's face on there, so they're showing you that. I saw this like 2 years ago, and I used to put this on Facebook, and I'd get unfriended back then. Everybody loves Donald Trump that I know.
Melania Trump is,
Well,
to my imagination, emerging as rather a Mona Lisa of the First Lady. A Mona Lisa.
Again, of this Mona Lisa.
Because it is by her appearance and her posture that...
At the Twitter account, Trump Draws, the president draws like a kid and spells like one too. Often the drawings relate to the news. For instance, when the president informed China's leader over dessert that U.S. missiles had been launched against Syria.
And we had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen.
That resulted in this. New York Magazine says an L.A. visual effects artist who wants to remain anonymous told the magazine the Twitter account wrote itself when he saw the leader of the free world holding up paper.
itself goes through the machine, writes it. That's my theory. True. Da Vinci Code. Sorry, I writes it. The Antichrist bloodline, it says. I don't know if that showed up in your picture or not. Oh, draconian devil. Let me turn this up.
Smile is in the lower spatial frequencies. The horizon is significantly lower on the left than it is on the right. Why? Well, see, she appears larger from the left than on the right. Historically, the left was female, the right was male.
The sacred feminine.
Divine feminine, sacred feminine, the mother goddess.
The con of man. Is it another anagram? Can you break it?
Moon, sermon, charms.
It's the moon goddess.
Moon, sermon, charms. Family sister, please.
There, got a better camera angle.
A road line is any line that goes from the north to south poles. Set into the street of Paris, 135 brass markers mark the world's first prime meridian, which passed through this very church.
Now they're going to show you that Benjamin F. Long's painting is 6,661 kilometers from the Mona Lisa at the Louvre. So I'll skip to the... So from where the Benjamin F. Long... So there you have it. So from where the Benjamin F. Long painting is of Mary with Child, that has Trump's mom's face sort of melded in there, it's 6,661 kilometers away from the Mona Lisa on a straight line. Instead of the Da Vinci Code being about the family of Christ, it's actually about the family of the Antichrist.
You're saying the Holy Grail is a person? A woman?
Turns out she makes them good. Right there. Theories. Theories. Notice how Jesus and Mary are clothed. Mirror images.
The Mona Lisa's right over here on the left.
Mirror images of each other. The mind sees what it chooses to see.
Mona Lisa. It's a picture of Trump's mom. Or it's a representation of the mother of the Antichrist. The mother of the Antichrist.
What it chooses to see. Now, my dear, the word in French for Holy Grail.
Le Saint Graal.
Of the Middle English, sangria of the original.
Sorry.
Now, that's two words. Translate for our friend.
Sang Real, it means royal blood.
Now, that's two words. Translate for our friend.
sang real, it means royal blood.
Witness the greatest cover-up in human history.
Mona Lisa, off to the side, representing the mother of the Antichrist.
This is the secret of the Priory of Sion as they've ended for over 20 centuries. They are the guardians of the royal bloodline. Keepers of the proof of our true past. They are the protectors of the living descendants of Jesus Christ.
Antichrist.
There's so many brilliant things in the Bible, and you can read it over, and many people have done this, and they've led their life that way, but you can read it hundreds and hundreds of times. You know, David, they say great art, like the Mona Lisa.
There you go.
Some people, they look at it.
The Mona Lisa. Talking about that Mona
because
Lisa
it looks
again.
great at the beginning,
He's telling you.
and then they'll look at it. By the time they see
He
it
drew
many,
it.
many times, it becomes the most. They can't
Talked
take their
about
eyes
it.
off
They tell you
Whereas
everything.
art that's not great, you look at it, it looks beautiful at the beginning, but you get tired of it. The Bible is special. The Bible, the more you see it, the more you read it, the more incredible it is, and the more you realize. It's like a great, you could say, I mean, I don't like to use this analogy, but like a great movie, a great, incredible movie.
He's telling you.
The Mona Lisa skirt. I'm a surprise, yeah. They don't see me coming. That's what you're missing. Somebody I want you to meet. Kevin and Marianne Lomax. This is Senator Alphonse D'Amato.
From the movie The Devil's Advocate.
No, these are the Republicans from New York.
Trump was a Republican from New York.
Donald Trump was supposed to be here tonight, but he had a business emergency. Probably over at Zuckerman.
In case you didn't know, these are the Republicans.
Trump was a Republican in New York.
You know, Barjun always overstates things.
Donald Trump was supposed to be here tonight, but he had a business emergency. Probably over at Zuckerman.
So in the movie The Devil's Advocate, Donald Trump's name was mentioned, and they used his penthouse to film portions of the movie, key portions of the movie.
Mr. Murdo? You're on. Mr. Murdo? For God's sake, man.
It's all theater.
Every time I think about Trump, I get allergic.
Right
Why do
there.
we have to keep going? Because it needs
Right
to
there
be
at Trump
clear,
Tower.
Mr. Cohen.
All the gods.
Because I need to know and understand.
Notice it says 66th floor. We just looked earlier. Trump Tower only has 58 floors. Why do they insist on calling his penthouse the 66th floor? 666, 66 goddesses.
Exactly.
All the gold.
You're standing there. You look down. There's the gun. You kneel down to pick it up. You work late. You come home. You walk in. Everybody's dead. It's not something you plan for. Stop. Back up. Two prints by the gun.
666 hand signal that Trump always uses.
Right hand. Right knee. Right knee.
The
We
man.
have been over this. I'm trying to picture it. I'm trying to picture it. Your hand. Your hand came from inside and underneath. I'm the hand that Mona Lisa skirt. I'm a surprise, Captain. They don't see me coming.
Up Mona Lisa's skirt.
And I'm talking to my friend who I'm sitting to and across from.
Her name is Kristen Anderson.
On my left side.
Hans Christian
I'm
Anderson.
very clear on this. This is the vivid part for me. So, the person on my right, who, unbeknownst to me at that time, was Donald Trump, put their hands up my skirt.
I'm Hans Christian Andersen.
Yep.
I'm many a tale
All of this scripted.
and though I'm a cobbler,
They put all this
I say
together for
I
y'all in the
rather
news
well.
because the Ghost in the Machine writes the
Your
script.
hand came from inside
Per the
and
Lord, of course.
underneath. I'm the hand that Mona Lisa skirt.
All of this from the movie The Devil's Advocate.
That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of.
Trump cannot ask God for forgiveness. Listen.
People are so shocked when they find this out. I'm Protestant. I'm Presbyterian. And I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale, my pastor.
I had to do some prepping, make sure I didn't give away certain things. Sorry, I had to cut something out. Yep.
Unbelievable. And what he would
Too
do is
revealing of something.
real life situations, modern day situations.
Where I'm looking
New
out
York
for you.
City
shut down.
And you could listen to him all day long.
That's not
When you
taking
left
place now,
the
is it?
church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was a great. He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is great. But
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness? The crowd laughs.
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. Now, when I take, when we go to church and when I...
Okay, there was a movie called Highlander about the McLeods. And of course, Trump's mom's name was Mary Ann McLeod.
As often as possible because I feel cleansed.
And they say in the movie, you got the devil in you. Lucifer. Lucifer.
Say that, Kate. I'll say it. You've the devil in you.
You'd have the devil in you, McLeod.
Connor McLeod was my kinsman.
Trump's mom's maiden name.
I don't know who you are.
Trump's the Highlander. So, in the movie, Connor McLeod, Trump's mom's maiden name was McLeod. He said, you got the devil in you. The other lady said Lucifer. I just picked up on something. Was he walking like with a cross? Look at that, like he's on the cross.
So, 20 years. Connor McLeod was my kinsman.
Right here, he's walking like he's on a cross. Antichrist. So, in the movie, Connor McLeod, Trump's mom's maiden name was McLeod. He said, you got the devil in you. The other lady said Lucifer. And,
Greetings.
there he is.
I am Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez,
McLeod.
Chief Metallurgist to King Charles V of Spain. King Charles V of Spain.
I wanted to share this with you too, and I really appreciate the person who sent me this photo. Here is Donald Trump sitting at a table with the Latin phrase plus ultra there on the left, inscribed in the tile on the wall at his residence at Mar-a-Lago. And Wikipedia says this was the motto of Charles V, who was the Holy Roman Emperor. And this is Latin, meaning going further, going beyond.
Charles V.
And Wikipedia says it refers to the political ambition of world power. Now, Emperor Charles V...
That's who Sean Connery was playing in the Connor McLeod.
...to a universal emperor ruling all of the land. And what comes to mind with Trump's use of the Latin plus ultra is the scripture, and when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Daniel 8:23. And Trump's #1 priority is to build up the U.S. military, his own personal war machine. And the Antichrist is the first rider of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
He receives the crown.
And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him.
Corona means crown.
And he went forth conquering and to conquer.
This is what's coming.
So here is Donald Trump sitting at a table with a fierce countenance, and this dark sentence behind him, this dark passage, plus ultra, world power.
We are the same McLeod. We are brothers.
7 brothers. The Bible verse, there are 7 kings. One of them has fallen, but the 8th has, I don't know, I can't remember how it goes.
You have the manners of a goat. Tell me, how did it happen, for God's sake?
And of course, Trump has no manners.
Why does the sun come up? Or are the stars?
Remember, Trump was born under that blood red moon you see on the right.
Who knows? What I do know is that because you were born different, men will fear you, try to drive you away, like the people of your village.
They're saying stop Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not our president.
You must learn to conceal your special gift and harness your power
of the Antichrist.
until the time of the gathering.
I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
There can be only one.
From the dawn of time we came, moving silently.
This is their theory.
Centuries, living many secret lives, struggling to reach.
Because the Bible speaks of 7 and then 8.
Few who remain will battle to the last. No one has ever known we were among you until now.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump, we're all cut from the same
cloth.
This is very, very large. It's not too big, is it?
No.
Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Donald Trump, we're all cut from the same cloth. In blood, all men are born and die.
Daniel fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it.
The Blood
So
Moon.
I read this the other
Movie
day.
called Lucifer Rising. Talk about a B movie.
Amazing. That's really incredible. And it's the snake lyric. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted
See the
woman
moon inside the
saw
horns? That's
a
what Trump was
poor,
born under.
half-frozen
That's what all the pagans have worshipped. And at the end of this poem, he says, "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. But because of people's pride," again, pride before the fall, Satan. I got to get moving. I got to keep this under 2 hours.
Half the nation.
So it
For
will.
heaven's sake, take me in, O tender woman. Sighed the vicious
I
snake.
got to keep it under 2 hours. It might not load.
Cozy in a curvature
Did you get the idea?
and then lay
In between the horns
by the fireside
of Taurus the
with
bull
some honey and some milk.
was
Now she hurried home from work, and
the
that
sun.
night, as soon as she arrived,
Well, I'm sorry.
she found that pretty snake.
That's the moon.
She'd take and but instead of saying
Just to rile up the base.
in, does that make sense to anybody?
You knew.
You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
Okay, you get the idea. That he is a twin, or that there is 2 of them, or that he has a clone. It's a possibility. Or that it is, like I showed y'all in detail, that artificial intelligence is the ghost in the machine, that he has a robotic twin double, which would be why you have an image that speaks. That's so Revelation 13, 13. You have to just let you see what their theory is.
I'll stand up, and his power without her. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore, shut
A
thou
blood
up
moon,
the vision,
lunar
for
eclipse.
it shall be for many days.
The sun sat in between the horns
Fainted,
on a blood red moon.
certain days. Afterward I rose up.
This right here is at Gemini. He is the
First, there's 2 Trumps. Okay. The one in the red tie is the real one.
And by the way, I'm not necessarily believing everything everybody says, but the 2 Trump theory is a theory. I don't know.
Twice.
There's
watching
something
Bill
to it.
Maher, because I watch Bill Maher.
There's
I watch
something to it.
all different types just to see where the narrative is going. And Bill Maher, you know, all of Hollywood, of course, they know who Trump is. They love him, but they crack on him or hate on him to get his base to dig in deeper.
Duh.
Like, for instance, Bill Maher might tell you a lot of truths about him, but since Bill Maher makes fun of God and the Bible and religion and so forth, that you as a Christian right-winger, you wouldn't even listen to anything he says. But twice I've heard Bill Maher say, there's two Donald Trumps. And one YouTube site even showed him saying it once. I think it was this one. And this site that put this together, Angel White, this one actually is Angel White Born Again. And it's called Donald Trump - The Antichrist is Born.
I'll put it in the comments.
It could be an AI putting all this together, because they're putting this together way too well for me to believe that just a person sat down and put all this together.
True.
And the next day he joined.
Are there two Donald Trumps?
There are.
Yeah, which one
So
is
they
one
keep
of-
talking about
If you're
two Trumps.
pathological, there's no.
And that's
Setting us up for that all along, haven't they? All this. And the Dark Knight is the Illuminati's Antichrist.
So the guy that did the Prestige also did the two Dark Knight Rises. Same director. And I'm showing you that Batman is the Illuminati's Antichrist.
Good idea, this rehearsal. The ladies,
The old-
such worthy causes.
The old Batman TV show.
I personally favor Miss Natural Resources. I'd like to make her my own personal charity. All are worthy. Now you can say that again.
And that is Bruce Wayne's grandfather, Mrs. Cooper.
His great-grandfather.
I understand he was tapped for Skull and Bones.
Tapped for it? Sir, he founded Skull and Bones.
Kind of figures?
Oh, no, thank you.
So, if Batman is the Illuminati's Antichrist, all of the villains are characteristics of God or Jesus or his sheep. Jesus spoke in parables, that's why they have the Riddler, and that's what I was talking about. I forgot to add that point when talking about artificial intelligence, the ghost in the machine, about Mr. Freeze. And the big Frozen movies. Is Satan frozen? Because he rises out of the abyss. Is his spirit that connects with man in the last days frozen? And there's a Bible verse that says, until he steps out of the way, releasing the abyss.
Okay, it's 2 Thessalonians 2:7, because 2:4 we've already looked at. For this lawlessness, sorry, you're looking at it split screen. For this lawlessness is already at work. I'm reading out of the NLT to your right. For this lawlessness is already at work secretly, of course. It's a secret. They don't let you know who's running the world, folks. Excuse me. That's why it's called Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots. The people that run this world are all about the goddess, and they do it secretly. For the lawlessness is already at work secretly, and it will remain secret until the one who is holding it back steps out of the way. That, I believe, is when the abyss is opened and Revelation 9:11 takes place, which is why they love 9:11. And they had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name, which I believe is at the North Pole. That's why I talk about, that's where Santa, Satan, same letters. Santa's colors, red and black. Those are the satanic colors, of course. Madonna's whole show almost is done in that satanic red and black now. Whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek, the tongue hath his name Apollyon, and of course Trump has Apollo in a painting at Trump Tower. So I hope that sort of helped paint a picture for you.
Sorry I don't have that. The tree goddess, the goddess living in the grove, and so forth.
Important. This is how he is able to perform his magic trick, the transported man. Now, the story of the Prestige is a good one.
So the guy that did The Dark Knight also did The Prestige, which talks about a twin, and that's how you pull off the trick. And is there a trick coming? Because the Antichrist has a deadly wound, but did live. Is it because he has a twin? That's the theory that a lot of people have, or that there is. It's going to be tricky if something happens. Just be aware of that.
But what makes this film great? He outlines the basic premise of a magic trick, specifically a vanishing and reappearing act. So the challenge set forth by Nolan is, can you figure out the secret behind the magic? Now, this is bold because then
as I
Nolan
see that,
gives us
there's
all
two
of
Trumps
these
on each
verbal
side of the
clues.
camera.
We were two young men at the start with great
One on the
courage.
left, one on the right.
Two young
Interesting.
men devoted to an illusion. Two young men who never intended to hurt anyone.
No one else can do my trick. Any trick can be duplicated, right, Mr. Cutter?
Wrong.
This is the trick.
This is the performance. This is why no one can detect his method. Total devotion to his art. Not a self-sacrifice.
Anytime he's in public, anytime he goes out. It's unthinkable. Important, so at once. But I couldn't fathom it. Live my whole life pretending to be someone else.
And that's not all. Then he takes it a step further by showing us this.
The theory of that there's two Trumps. And that's said a lot. There's two Trumps. Will many cry if that happens? Of course. Y'all know who you are. The deadly wound that did heal. This is theory. This is potential.
See? He's alright, he's fine. Look at it.
The deadly wound but did live, excuse me. Oh, the kid knew. Sorry, I walked over that.
Fine. Look at it.
But where's his brother?
Where's his brother? Same director that did both Batmans. And remember, Batman is the Illuminati's Antichrist. I did not give y'all Trump saying, I am Batman. So, let's pause.
Mr. Trump,
Yes,
are you Batman?
I am Batman.
Okay. So you get the idea. Same director that did both Batman movies did this movie. This is just their theory. I mean, I don't fully understand or buy into, but it's just here for us to view. It's me on the prep video talking. One World Tower, the One World Order. We've always been hearing about them creating a One World Order, a One World system under the Antichrist, under the beast. One world money, one world government, one world religion. They've already got a one world system.
Nolan just told us the secret, and he accomplishes this through carefully mirroring these scenes. First, he shows us the same vanishing act as before. A simple magic
That's how the mural is on the left.
Trick.
You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
Caught up in the rapidly developing storyline that we don't realize that he's revealed the secret to us. And Nolan knows that we aren't going to see it because he teases us with this line.
You're looking for the secret, but you won't find it. Because of course,
I've got that movie on Blu-ray. I might want to watch it again.
you don't really want to know. You want to be fooled.
I really don't understand why the Prestige is
The
not
Ghost in the
brought up
Machine
more often
writes these
when
movies.
discussing Nolan's best
You
films.
have to go back
If you
and
haven't
watch
seen it, I'm sorry for ruining the ending. And if you have
my
seen
video,
it, watch it again.
Artificial
And
Intelligence
this
is the
time,
Mark of the
watch
Beast.
closely. We find out
It is
through
the Ghost in the
closing
Machine.
moments that Borden is actually
Viewing me, that's what I call a great idea.
Of course it's a great idea. We thought of it.
You know, I left out the part that the man's name in the movie, The Prestige, was Fallon.
Which of them is Fallon and which is Borden?
And here's Jimmy Fallon pretending to be a twin. All
Talk to you in 3 hours. Me interviewing me, that's what I call a great idea.
all scripted for you
It's a great idea. We thought of it.
by the Ghost in the Machine.
Revelation 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed.
That's the eclipse up at the top. That's his blonde hair, very thick hair.
And they worshipped the
Now they're going to perform a trick.
unto the beast and to overcome them. And power was given him over all
McLeod. The last 8 will say Donald Dark. That'll be all you can see. Donnie Darko. Dark, 88. 520. Donald, 88 means Donald Trump. Sorry, it went out of camera view. It's my fault. It's a very creepy movie.
Because I'm Donnie Darko. I mean, I think Frank wants me to go talk to her.
So can you. But you're in great danger.
See, a spirit is talking to Donnie Darko, which would of course be Lucifer.
The storm is coming.
Satan.
The storm that will swallow the children. And I will deliver them.
A storm is coming, Donnie Darko is saying, or Donald Darkness is saying. And of course, Donald Trump said, talked about the coming storm.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be the calm before the storm. We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we have great evening. Thank you all for coming. You'll find out.
I don't think the wives are quite understanding
He
the
said,
generals.
You'll find out.
I guarantee you that they do.
I mean, I think Frank wants me to go talk to her, you know, because, except for me. Because I'm Donnie Darko. I mean, I think Frank wants me to go talk to her, you know, because the last time I saw him, he asked me if I knew about time travel, and she wrote a book about it, so it can't be like a coincidence, right?
The Arch of Triumph. This is where also in the movie Donnie Darko the word Antichrist is said. So Donnie Darko says the word Antichrist in the is born. I can't help but thinking AI put this together. Look at the... They put up this preacher all the time on this channel, and he's looking AI put this together. Did y'all see the... I thought I did this in the prep. If I do, I'll skip it. But do you see, again, the lunar eclipse in between the horns, the sun? That's why that lady has the blood red moon in between the horns, because that's what has to make the blood red moon. Anyway. Because they put up this preacher all the time on this channel, and he's a false preacher. You know, the one-eye symbolism of the Illuminati. He's got an eye out. Burn it to the ground because the phoenix has to rise from the ashes. And I mean, God said, Jesus said a time that the evil dead, the last temptation of Christ, Trump, Fordham University, entered a Jesuit. Donnie Darko went to a Jesuit high school. So, yep.
high school Donnie Darko went to.
Donnie Darko, which stands for Donald Darkness,
So,
went to a Jesuit.
So Donnie Darko is Donald Darkness. Now this is something I want y'all to.
Do you know anything about time travel?
Theoretically, a wormhole in space.
See, they're talking to you about time travel and Back to the Future and so on and so forth. There is no time travel, of course, or the Bible would speak of it, but the Bible is what is timeless. You've already got the end of time written. So Back to the Future, when you go back to when the Bible was written, it told you about the future. So we're going back to when Revelation was written. And Revelation, of course, is written about the future end times.
The end times.
We are now entering the end times.
So we're going back to the future.
So you're back to the futuristic book
About the future.
Of Revelation. You're going back to the future. So that's kind of what that whole
cryptic
is making fun of.
Controlled by man. According to Hawking, a wormhole.
Stephen Hawking. I don't believe any of that.
Twin Pines Mall. Later in the movie, it's just one pine, just like the Twin Towers.
9/11, 11/9.
And there's 11, there's 9, 9, 11, 9, 11. Complete demolition. Anybody can look at that and see that's what that is. Out of time. 88 lights. 88 means Trump.
The little horn. The horn.
Out of time.
The horn that spake great things.
Heroes of the 88th Floor 9/11 documentary. Yes, they have confirmed that Biff was based off Donald Trump.
Mad World. Interesting song. Donnie Darko is very dark. That song's from Donnie Darko.
Biff is president. There's anarchy. Tanks in the streets. It's a police state.
By the way, a lot of people go, well, everybody's the Antichrist. Everybody said Obama. Praise the Lord. I never said Obama was the Antichrist. I've never said anybody was the Antichrist. This is the first person I've ever said was the Antichrist. So, don't come back at me with that. Or do. But it won't stick. That's God's grace. Do y'all see the 9 on the left and the 11 down the middle on Back to the Future? I'm not sure if y'all picked up on that. Twin Pines, 9/11. You're fired. I think we've already played that for you. We're playing it now. I think we already played it for you.
That
Yeah.
movie came out way
You're
before
fired,
Trump's
you're
television
fired.
show.
It's all about Trump. Way before Trump said you're fired. Back to the Future 2 was already decades before that.
This is Heliofont. It's called iPad Go 2. I guarantee you an AI did this. It's showing you everything about the end times.
Ghost in the Machine, artificial intelligence. Computer animation.
666 on his forehead. A pet goat got your sheep, you got your goats.
Quickly. So, how did they know in the movie Back to the Future that you would go from the Twin Towers to the one world? From 2 to 1. And the upside down 9/11 when you turn it upside down. So, that's the world you live in. I don't know what else to tell you. Everything is what it is. May God have given you eyes to see and ears to hear, because you're definitely living in the end times. I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, the temple will be built, and whatever's the abomination that causes desolation will have taken place, or sooner. Remember that X that crosses 2024. So, anyway, love y'all. Share it. Share the video. Share it on Facebook. It's time to take a stand. We don't take stands physically. We just teach the truth. We expose the world. That's Ephesians 5:11. Have no fellowship with unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them, which means expose them. Instead, expose them. So, expose it. Share it. Consider it your duty. How about that? All right, love y'all.